Welcome to Weekday Somatics. This is got two things that I hope to share with you today. Newish things. So we've taken a lot of time over the last, I don't know how many meetings, to hopefully clarify what I view as the most fundamental aspect of a successful inquiry, which is to recognize the stillness. What I'm referring to as stillness. You don't have to use that word. If that's not the right word for you, don't get hung up on it. But to recognize that there is that there's a presence and awareness that we can connect with, that we can recognize, that we can acknowledge. And it's very simple. It's not a complicated thing. So even if you have doubts about it, that's okay. The doubts are more complicated though. And this stillness is so simple that you can't wrap your head around it. But you can trust. You can trust because you've had experiences, you've had moments of recognition. So this is, as I say, this is the most important, from my perspective, the most important aspect. Because if you only did this, if you only were to just as often as possible rest in this stillness, just to surrender, let go, and whatever is coming and going, let that come and go, and just surrender to this stillness, whether you're physically still or you're not physically still. From my perspective, this is the most important thing. This alone yields very wonderful results. And in fact, everything comes from this, as I've said. So don't think that you must do more. But on the other hand, we all have certain challenges that present themselves that sometimes we can best support ourselves in if we have some additional tools. So I want to explore some additional tools, some techniques that we can use. But I will do my best to remember to remind us all, but also see that you can remember yourself that the most important thing is to surrender to this stillness. So whatever else we might be doing, if you get agitated or you get confused or frustrated or anything else, just remember, just come back to this stillness. Just surrender whatever effort you're making, whatever strain you're producing. Just become aware of that, and then just surrender. So as usual, we're going to choose to be as physically still, but restfully still as we can for the next 30 minutes or so. So choose a posture that you have confidence you can inhabit with restful stillness for the next 30 minutes. And that can be whatever. There's no rules to it. I encourage you to be open to the possibility of sitting upright, but only if that's appropriate for you. I offer that encouragement just because sometimes it's helpful to have the encouragement, just to know that that's a possibility that you could explore, but you have to know what's right for you in this moment. So if you need whatever helps you to receive the support, just give yourself that, because that's important. So we're sitting here or lying here or lounging or whatever we're doing. And my intention is to, and we'll see what happens, but my intention is to explore 2 techniques. That may be too much, so we'll see. So notice whatever it is that you notice. And it may be that sometimes it's so nice when we choose to rest and we experience what we understand as rest. We experience it in a pleasant way, an enjoyable way. And so if that's your experience right now, that's wonderful. And just enjoy that. Just enjoy that as thoroughly as possible. Surrender to that more and more, and just receive that enjoyment more and more as you surrender more and more, and trust that that's perfect and there's nothing else that's needed. On the other hand, during the Q&A, that I think it was on Friday, I was reminded of something really important, which is that this exploration is not a linear exploration. And what I mean by that is that we often, we're taught that we exist in time, and that time is a linear thing. So that wherever I am now, I am striving to improve my conditions, and I'm doing so linearly so that in the future they will improve. And I imagine that then I will have, I will sustain that, and it will just continue to improve in this linear fashion. In actual experience, it doesn't work that way. So when we're confronted with reality, in other words, our actual experience, what's actually happening, I find it's always wise to surrender whatever wrong ideas I have about how it should be. So if I have the idea that I should, because yesterday I felt good about my experience, I thought that my experience was a pleasant experience, I thought it was an enjoyable experience, I felt positive, felt that I was making good progress, things were getting better, I felt relief. And then today, perhaps I start to notice some agitation, some frustration, some challenge. Then I'm being presented with this opportunity to tell the truth. So the truth is what is. What is what I'm calling agitation. My idea is that this should not be. Now, as I've proposed to us, all of the benefits come from surrender. We can, as we've all hopefully experienced, we can surrender without any object, without any relationship. There's just a pure surrender, just a surrender to this stillness. That surrender is coming, in a sense, maybe the perception is that it's coming from within. I'm surrendering within. That's wonderful. It's perfect. There's nothing more that you need to do. If that's working for you, then great. Sometimes what can happen, though, is that when we're faced with these challenging moments, our faith is tested. So what is triggered is our self-effort, all of our old habits. Because we lose faith, we say, oh, I thought that all was going well when I was surrendering, but now I'm not so sure. I think maybe I should try harder. Maybe I need to do something. Maybe I need to get involved here. I need to figure out what I did wrong. I need to figure out what's going wrong. I need to solve it, fix it. I need to try. So what I observe in these situations is that all of that's just going in the wrong direction. So here's another way to approach that. And for some of you, some of you will connect with this right away, and some of you will find this challenging. I would invite you to just be open to it. And you don't need to, there's no requirement that you must make use of it, but it is a very useful tool. Very, very, very useful. So this tool is to externalize what it is that you are surrendering to. And for those who are very stuck on an idea of non-duality, that can be challenging because it really triggers a lot, can provoke a lot of fear and doubt, reactivity, anger, resistance, because of this false certainty that I have the right answer, that I know where the right answer is, that I can do it. So it's a very useful tool because on so many levels, it's a deeper surrender in many ways, because it's surrendering all of the things that I didn't previously see that I was still holding on to, the arrogance, the certainty, the ways I was trying to control, the ways I thought I knew. I thought I knew what was best, what was good, what was right, what I needed. So this is prayer. This does not need to be a religious activity. It can be a secular activity, but it's helpful to have a sense of if you have a sense of your own personal divine, whatever that is that you have a relationship with. And the prayer, you there's no right words to it, but it's this, in essence, it is this. And just see that if you can really connect with the energy of it, just the essence of what this is. I surrender all of my trying to you. I surrender all of my mistakes to you. I give thanks for this opportunity presently to discover where I have been holding on blindly. Thank you for this revelation. Thank you for this blessing. I was mistaken to judge this badly. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me to discover an easier way. Thank you for answering my deepest prayer, my heartfelt prayer for a deeper, truer surrender. And see that hopefully the intention here is that this can open your heart. This can open all of the hardened areas where you were still afraid, still resistant, still holding back because you didn't trust fully that you were supported. Can also help to recognize all of the ways in which you are supported. So this can also include thank you for this present opportunity, this opportunity to be here, this opportunity to breathe. Thank you for gravity. Thank you for the roof over my head that offers me this safe space. Thank you for taking care of all of my needs. Thank you for taking care of my hunger, my thirst, so that I can be here present with relative ease, knowing that my needs really are taken care of. I'm not in danger. And then see that you can then choose to release in a deeper way. The clenching and armoring, the ways that you've been gripping that you weren't even aware of, or that you were aware of, but that you were struggling against because you had judgments about them. I shouldn't be this way. I shouldn't be tense. I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be frustrated. I shouldn't be impatient. I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't be depressed. I shouldn't be jealous. I shouldn't be worried. I shouldn't be anxious. I shouldn't be all of these things. I shouldn't be tense. I should know better by now. And just see that perhaps this approach can allow you to surrender even more deeply, just to release these desperate attempts to reassert your control, which you can recognize only ever led to pain. In fact, it was synonymous with pain. All of my self-effort is synonymous with pain. And see if it's possible for you to actually perceive yourself being held. If you can allow your outer layer of your body, your skin, to be so soft that you can perceive that the space around the skin, around the body, is actually holding your skin in the most tender, loving way, that you are completely surrounded by support. And furthermore, you can begin perhaps to sense that very same support from the inside. As the breath flowing gently, naturally, the blood flowing, all of the cells producing energy, the bones aligned, strong. And you can maybe begin to perceive that that external support and the internal support merge into a unified field of total support. And perhaps to some degree, you can even become aware of yourself as transparency, that you exist as a transparency in this field of total support, so that the distinction between the inside and the outside becomes fuzzy. This is only really possible if you really can sense this support, of course, because otherwise it becomes threatening. So there's no right or wrong here. You don't feel pressure that you must do this or that you must do it in the right way or you must have the right experience or any of that. This is a tool that is available to us that I find is extraordinarily helpful when, well, to be honest, at any time, but particularly when in this cyclical inquiry, because you'll start to notice that the inquiry is cyclical. It has a spiral quality to it, especially as you allow it to come alive in your daily life. When this inquiry is so alive in your daily life that it is all that is happening, you will start to recognize it is like a spiral. So the expectations are based on a false model, a linear model. And when that false model comes up against the reality of the spiral nature of the inquiry of life, of reality, there's a mismatch. And that's where we experience the frustration, disappointment, discouragement, upset, irritation, and so forth. So this prayer is a way to help dissolve the false, to illuminate the false and the true, so that the false can be seen as false and released. And then what we can discover is that truly all of what we are aware of is a gift. Even what we label as disappointment, discouragement, frustration, anger, impatience. We become aware of it, and now we have ways in which to surrender it, to release it, and to receive the gifts that are within it, because it's offering us insight into the unnecessary strain that we've been making and how we can really, truly surrender that completely so that we are aware of ourselves in this transparent way. So that's the first of the two techniques that I want to share today. And I looked at the time, and we've got enough time that I think we can begin on the second one. So I just want to remind everybody that the core of this is just this awareness, the stillness, the surrender to that. And if you can just rest in that with awareness, that's perfectly adequate. There's really nothing else necessary. So don't feel any pressure that you must do anything else. For those who are interested and who feel that this is appropriate, I'd like to explore more with tissue state, which is something I've brought up in the past, but I don't think we were ready to explore it in greater depth, and now I think we are. So this technique that I want to share is I don't know what phrase to use. I'm going to call it self-massage. Maybe not the ideal word, because we have ideas about what massage means. So let me clarify. It's not a deep tissue massage. It's not a manual release technique. It's applying external touch to rapidly allow, or I should say allow for rapid decompression, release of habits, holding habits, armored habits. Now, in order to make the most use of this, I had a very, very powerful insight recently that dramatically improved this technique. And so I want to do my best to communicate that to you. In order to best understand this, I'd like to invite you to bring your fingers of one of your hands to somewhere. So this is very open-ended, to somewhere on your body that is meets a couple of criteria. One is that part of your body does not presently, you don't presently experience that part of your body with as much suppleness as you believe might be possible. And the second criteria is that you can do so without strain. We're going to hold the hand or the fingers there lightly for some time, not a long time, because we're going to do it for about 10 minutes. So it should be somewhere where you're not likely to strain in order to rest the hand there for about 10 minutes. That's going to be different for everybody. We'll have different levels of tolerance and whatever. So if you're not sure where that is, you can just do as I'm going to do, which is take the hand and place it on the collarbone. So I'm going to use my right hand and place it on the left collarbone. You could do the left hand on the right collarbone. You could do the right hand on the right collarbone or the left hand on the left collarbone. It's up to you. I find it most convenient to place the right hand on the left collarbone. Now, if you're not sure where the collarbone is, it's at the top of the chest and the base of the throat. There's two of them, one on the right and one on the left. So you'll find right at the very base of the throat is the collarbones come together and they connect with the breastbone. So you want to have the hand probably, if you're doing what I'm doing, just to the side of that. Don't push in there hard, but just allow the fingers to rest there so that you're comfortable, the hand isn't straining, the arm isn't straining, and you can feel whatever you feel. So just notice the quality of whatever you feel. Does it feel supple, clear, relaxed, pleasurable, soft? Or maybe, like me, you might be finding some lumpiness, ropiness, gripping, hardness, lack of clarity. Just notice whatever you feel, whatever you are aware of. And then what I want you to notice is what ideas and images you have. Some of you will become aware of this really quickly. Some of you, it will be so obvious what I'm talking about. And some of you will think that you're unable to be aware of the thoughts or the images that are stored here. But I promise you, everybody can do it. So just be aware of whatever thoughts, images, or memories arise when you are aware of this area. So what do I mean by that? One example might be, well, this is just how I am. I'll never be able to be other than this. Or other people have it easier than me. Other people are supple and I'm not. Or, oh, this must be hard because of that thing that happened to me, because of my birth, or because of that time I had that accident, or because I was too stressed for too long in my life. And so now I'm just stuck like this. Or I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know how to begin. Other examples might be, oh, I know what this is. I know what muscles these are. I know what's going on here. I have trigger points because I went to the specialist and they said that that's what it is. Or, oh, I know what's going on here. It's because I have inflammation, and because I went to the doctor and they told me I had the test, or whatever. You see, there are so many possibilities. Other possibilities might be just a general sense of discomfort, fear. I can't let go. If I let go, something bad might happen. Or I feel vulnerable. I feel exposed. I feel unsafe. So these are all examples among countless possible things that might present themselves, but these are the kinds of things to be aware of. Now, you might already be aware of some release, some softening, some change in what you're perceiving. If so, that's wonderful. If not, don't worry about it. It will happen sooner or later. If you're aware of some release, then just continue to allow that release. And continue to allow whatever thoughts and images and memories and beliefs that surface, and just be aware of them and continue to allow a softening and a release. Don't try to analyze it. Don't try to understand it. Don't try to process it. Don't try to apply any other type of inquiry or method to it. Don't try to work hard to do anything with it. Just allow it to come and go lightly. Now, here's what I want you to be aware of. These images, these thoughts, these memories, all the beliefs, they're all actually, they have been stored here. They're stored in the body, and we are not going to solve them at a purely intellectual level. We're not going to be able to solve them at a purely mechanical level, just applying some methodology to it, doing a worksheet. We have to be present and surrendering. And what we are becoming aware of through this process is how we have been straining to maintain the wrong idea, the wrong image, the wrong sense of ourselves and life. So if we had the idea, oh, I'm unsafe, I'm vulnerable, we were storing that here. It was actually had a physical manifestation in the body. And I have a proposal about the specifics of that, and I've been hesitant to describe that, but I think it's appropriate actually. So we often, I suspect, think that the problem runs very deep. The problem of me runs very deep. There's something wrong with me deep down at my core. I'm fundamentally flawed, bad, damaged, wrong, shameful, broken. It's a big, deep problem. Actually, I've been made aware recently that the problem is not deep. The problem is quite superficial. It's actually at a layer just beneath the skin. So here's the next step in this inquiry as you're continuing just to be aware of what you're feeling and aware of whatever comes and goes in your awareness, continuing to surrender and release and soften. I want you to now become aware of how you imagine the problem to be, how you imagine your brokenness and wrongness and all of that to be in the body. Notice how you likely have a perception that it's somewhere deeper. At the very least, maybe it's in the muscles somewhere. Maybe you think that what you're feeling is muscle that's tight, ropey. And by the way, there's a possibility that that's true to a certain very limited extent. However, that is not the driver of this. The driver of it is much more superficial. And if the muscle is any deeper problem is a byproduct of the more superficial. And as the superficial is released, the deeper will also release. You will be surprised at how much faster and easier and more pleasurable it can be than you have thought. So just underneath the skin, well, let me put it this way. The skin, for the most part, your skin of your entire body, with few exceptions, is not even connected directly to the muscles of the skeletal muscles. The skeletal muscles are connected to the skeleton. The skin, for the most part, is attached to the body through a layer of fascia. This fascia is like a spider's web in many ways. But maybe a better image is to imagine a layer just under your skin, all around your body, of fine silk thread that is knit. So it's like you have a layer of fine knit silk all around, just underneath the skin. And this fine silk knit layer connects the skin to the muscles, to the inner body. And it provides structure. It provides structure, and it is incredibly responsive to our intention and to our self-image. And it's very, very strong, incredibly strong. You would be surprised how powerful it can be. Now, I want you to imagine that what might happen if you were to pull a thread of this layer that was right under your fingertips and pull it tight and keep pulling it. Now, can you imagine, maybe you've done this with some kind of knit or even a woven thing, and so perhaps you know what happens is that it cinches, it binds up, it draws together, and everything becomes tighter. That's what's happened. Now, just in the same way that it's possible to then, if you've ever done this, you'll know that if you have mistakenly pulled the thread of a knit item, that it's possible to gently release that so that everything goes back into its natural shape. When the fascia is cinched, because it is so powerful, so strong, it restrains and constrains and restricts the muscles. It binds the muscles. It limits the range of the muscle movement. So whatever you are feeling under your fingers, I want you to become aware that all that you are actually feeling is the effect of this cinching, because the threads of the fascia have been pulled, which has drawn things together, bound them up in this region. But I want you to become aware that it's actually quite easy to soften and release that, so that the threads release and the natural order, the natural suppleness, the natural elasticity confidence of the entire body emerges effortlessly. Really become aware of this possibility and see that you can utilize this awareness to, and this more correct image, to more rapidly soften and release. So there's a lot to be aware of here. And this is the first time we've explored it in this way. So I don't expect you to be a master. I'm not a master of it. I definitely don't expect you to be a master of it in 10-minute exploration. But this is a very, very, very powerful tool that we can use. And we'll be exploring it more in the coming days. So slowly release the hand and see that you can do so without reintroducing the habitual strain in the part of the body that you were touching. And just take a moment to be aware of the sensation of that part of the body softened, more supple, more at ease, more confident, more at rest, more surrendered. And become aware of how that affects the whole body. So notice the whole body. If that's too sudden, you can just sort of gently, slowly expand outward from that region so that you begin to include the whole body in your awareness. And perhaps you become aware of things that you weren't previously aware of, and some of that will seem good and some of that you'll have negative judgments about, but just remember to surrender, to give thanks, because this is both of these techniques that I've shared with you today are very, very, very powerful. They will help tremendously in your inquiry. So whatever has been revealed to you through this exploration, give thanks. That's a helpful way to sidestep the habit of complaining, of discouragement and negativity, just to choose to recognize that things are changing. When I look at the bigger picture, I see that things are changing in wonderful, miraculous ways. Even though my habits of impatience still surface, even though I become narrow-minded, fixated on my imagined problems, when I choose to surrender and look at the bigger picture, I recognize that miracles are occurring. I give thanks for those miracles, and I trust those miracles will continue. In fact, what is happening now, whether I recognize it or not as a miracle, is a miracle. And I give thanks for that. And I give thanks in advance for the recognition that will necessarily come. Whether I recognize it now as a miracle or not, I give thanks because I know that I will. I know I will, because I can see the pattern. If your eyes have been closed, then take a moment to open them slowly so that you can do so without disturbing this awareness. And if your eyes have been open, then still be aware of any habits of suddenness so that you can be so gentle with yourself. Give yourself that gentleness. Give yourself the gift of patience, even if you don't think you feel patient. Goodness knows I don't always feel very patient, but the gift is that we can choose to receive patience. We choose to receive patience when I don't think I'm feeling patient, but I surrender that impatience and I receive the patience, even if I'm not feeling it the way that I think I should. I can receive it. I can receive it just by going slowly, being aware, being present, giving thanks, observing that I don't need to disturb myself. Even if there seems to be disturbance, even if there seems to be irritation, even if it seems like things are bad, I can still choose not to introduce more disturbance to that. And I can trust that all that is coming to conscious awareness is coming to be surrendered, because it's all of my self-effort, all of my habits of strain. That's what's coming to conscious awareness. My judgments come to conscious awareness. I surrender them. I receive the patience by surrendering whatever it is that I have judgment about, including the judgments themselves. So for those who are here live, we'll stay on for the Q&A. And for those who are watching the recording, thanks for doing so. I sincerely thank you. It's a gift. You, whether you realize it or not, your willingness to be here is a gift. It's a gift to the world. It's a gift to yourself. It's a gift to me. It's a gift to all of us. Sincerely, I mean that. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being willing to be open, to explore, to soften, to receive, and to have courage and faith that something greater than my habitual limitations is real. It's actually more real than my habits of limitation. It's a real gift, so thank you.